Hi there, Steph. Thanks for popping by. So today's card was made with Pretty Pansies from the latest Clearly Besotted release from October 2017, as well as with Sincerest Spanx stamp from Clearly Besotted as well. So I started stamping on some Strathmorton grey cardstock, and I used some Memento Tuxedo black. It's not too black, and it does get covered basically by the Prismacolor because they are very waxy. But they do create a nice layer of good uniform color. They really cover the cardstock, and that's what I really like about Prisma. And they blend really well. So I started with my lightest color, which is kind of the yellow green color, and then I use a dark green to kind of retrace the outline, but blurring it in a little bit. And then I tried with a light brown, but I wasn't happy, so I went for a darker brown, and it kind of gives that hint of autumn kind of thing, which we have at the moment in the UK, because we entered autumn pretty well. We're starting to have leaves all over the pavement, so it's autumn definitely. So that brown, I think I used two browns. I used a dark brown to create more dimension and depth, and also a reddish brown, so I get a bit of that autumnal look, sorry, in it, and it might be difficult to see on the video, I'm not sure, but it looks quite nice in real life, and you get a good contrast between that yellow and the brown as well. And what I will do in the I just did it now, is I used a more yellowish yellow, and it kind of accentuates the contrast as well. It's more of what I would call a sunflower yellow, so a proper yellow. And I just keep going, and I decided to kind of traced what I call the vein, I'm not sure if that's how it's called, of the leaves with my green pen. I just sharpen it really well, and this one's actually, lucky enough, they don't break too much, so I got quite lucky there. Some of them break. I was doing a bit of research yesterday on Prismacolor because I'm having a really hard time finding a good black pen. I've been using my Sakura glaze pen onto the Prismacolor, but I'm still having problems, so I was trying to do a bit of research to see what I could find, what is the best. And I just landed on someone's review, and the person mentioned that if the pens have not been shipped properly, if they've been dropped on the floor, it's likely that the lid will break within the pen. So that would explain why when you sharpen the pen, the lid breaks so much. And that person was saying that when, I'm assuming it was a lady, but I'm not sure, she collected them, when she bought them from an actual shop, she did not find that problem, she did not have that problem, but when it came from an online shop, and maybe been handled not as carefully, she had the problem a lot more. So that could be an explanation. That may not be right, but that may be. So I just thought it was interesting, and I share that with you. So I've done some of the leaves, and I've jumped. I turned the camera off because I didn't want this video to last forever, and it's it's pretty much the same thing for every leaf really. So once you've seen a few, you've seen most of them. And then I moved on to the flower, and I decided to go for a peachy salmon look, which I don't necessarily go for this kind of colors, so it's quite nice to change. And I mean, I have a whole set of I think I've ordered 70 something crayons. Was it 70? I'm not sure now. And I like the idea of using them all, because otherwise I'm just going to end up with really long pencils and really short ones. So anyway, I like to vary things. So here I went for, originally I had 3 salmon shades. So very light, pretty light, and orangey kind of salmon that would work with the salmon basically. And then I kind of needed a really much deeper color, and I get that brown with really rich red tones in it. It looks brown, but I'm kind of thinking it's probably, in French we would say auburn. That's kind of a hair color. I don't really have another word for it, but it's a deep brown with a lot of red in it, so it works really well to accentuate and give depth with this color scheme. Let's call it scheme, so the salmon color. So anyway, I started by laying a very light layer of peach, and then I used my orangey salmon color, and I started feathering from the center and then a little bit on the outside. And I've been trying to learn this technique I've seen people do, which I thought looks really nice. Instead of doing laying my dark color against the outline, I'm leaving a little tiny gap, which I think you can, hopefully you can see. So there's a little gap of white, and then I lay my color following the outline. It's kind of a parallel outline, if that makes sense. So it's not touching the actual outline, but it's next to it, and it leaves a little bit of white, which kind of make the dark color pop even more. So here you can see as I lay my dark brownish color, it pops even more, and I think it looks so pretty, and I wanted to give that a go a bit more often to kind of practice, because my instinct is to go to the outline, so it's not natural for me to do that, but I am actually trying to make it. I think it really gives a good pop to the flower, to the petals. Here I've sped up a lot because it's basically the same, you know, you make one flower, you piss in all the flower, no, maybe not all of them, but on that card at least. So I've sped up quite a lot, but I think it looks so nice, and I really like saying things sped up. It looks like it's easy. It's not easy. I spent 2 hours on it, but I really like the fact that it looks easy. And I do think that color scheme actually worked out really well. It's quite nice, I think, and it's very different from what I would usually do. So just trying to get out of my comfort zone, really. So here we go. The flowers are done, and here we're just gonna jump forward, and all the flowers will be done, and we move to the shading. So as always with that kind of cardstock, I think the warm grays work really well. I did last time use by accident a cool gray, and it looked a bit odd, and there was a bit of blue. Like, yeah, it was blue kind of popping out of the grey, and it didn't look very right. So the warm greys for me, really are the best for this cardstock, and it really helps, I think, make the Prismacolor pop. I don't know if I mentioned that before, the Copics don't work on the Prismacolor pencil. So if, for example, you go over the line and you color with Copic on Prisma, it's okay, because it won't actually suck in on the paper. The waxy consistency of the Prisma will stop the Copic from soaking in, so you're not going to make a stain of Copic onto something that has been colored with Prisma. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's actually quite handy. But then again, when you go to retracing your outlines, which I've learned to really like doing here, it looks fine. And then if you could see it up close, you would see that the lines are really unsmoothed. No, that's not a word, but it's really frustrating. Unfortunately, I haven't found a way to fix that problem yet. I'm considering a black pencil that they use for kind of graphic drawing, but I'm not sure I get that deep black color that I really like, and I'm looking. If I find something, I'll let you know. So anyway, unfortunately here, if you look up close, you would see the lines are a bit wriggly and not very smooth. And I'm a bit of, what's the word for it? Not OCD, but not far off. I like when it's done well. So I was a little bit frustrated, but I hope the recipient of the card will still like it anyway. If you look far away, I think it looks quite good, but it's just up close where you get that little thing. But we learn from our mistakes, kind of thing, so hopefully I find a solution, and when I do I will let you know, so stay tuned. So here I really like the gritting, but it's the first time I stamped it, so it didn't stamp very well, and I like retracing the grittings anyway. So I use a glaze pen for the middle, and I just show you here, but it was really quick. I use a jelly roll pen for the other words, because the jelly roll pen nib is a lot finer than the glaze. The glaze one is really thick, and the ink comes out really quickly, so you need to be careful. So I use the jelly roll for the thin font, and the glaze pen for the large font, which I think is so pretty. And it's such a great stamp as well. And there was another stamp with it, which is my drawer, so I'm not sure what it was. I think it was Happy Birthday, but it was really, you know, it's the kind of stamp that you find it really useful, and I really like this kind of grittings. They're not skinny grittings, they take like a good chunk of space on the card as well, so when the person opens the card, it's really obvious what the card is for, so I quite like that. Here I put a bit of white gel pen just to add little accents here and there. I didn't put any glossy accents. I did consider it, but it takes forever to dry, so I went for white gel pen, and I think it's quite cool because it gives good contrast with that card stuff. So here we go, I glued my card front, and it's finished. So I hope you find the card and the video interesting today. If you do, please don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up. Don't hesitate to subscribe, share if you want to, press the little bell for notification, and for photos, please head over to my blog. Thanks again, and have a great day. Bye!